time is running out, as few are left to face the enemy. For those that remain, there is but one choice. We must fight to victory or death for the Republic!
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Final Frontier. My name is Space, and today we're going to be bringing you our Assault Specialist Commando DPS guide. We're going to go over the guide in 3 parts. We're going to start by going over the spec as a whole, talking about utilities, class talents, and my personal favorites for PvP and other situational PvP variants. Second part is going to be going over gearing and stat priorities, and the third part we're going to go over our rotation and priority system. So let's hop into it. So as always, we're going to run down the spec. So level 10, you get your incendiary round. It's your primary dot. Level 12, you're going to get superheated plasma, increases the damage dealt by plasma cells, so that's the cell that you guys should be in all the time. Increases the damage dealt by 10% and increases its chance to be triggered by 5%. Explosive dissemination increases the damage dealt by plasma grenade and sticky grenade by 25%. Causes your plasma grenade to spread your incendiary round burn to targets it hits. Cool. Sticky grenade will also spread the dot of your serrated bolt target, but to be honest, in this guide we're not going to be using either of those abilities ever. They're both garbage and they're both massive wastes of a GCD. So moving on. Alright, Scorching Bolts. High Impact Bolt and Mag Bolt ignores 30% of the target's armor. This is a huge deal, guys, and dealing damage with either ability will always trigger your plasma cell. Awesome. So what does that mean? That means we're going to be able to get all 3 of our dots up consistently. Cool. In addition, using High Impact Bolt or Mag Bolt against a burning target grants you 5 energy cells. Nice. So that refunds half the cost, because I believe it costs, sorry, never mind. It refunds you a third of the cost, because it costs 15. Cool. Alright, Incendiary Round reduces the movement speed of the targets by 30% while it burns. Additionally, Incendiary Round makes the target assailable for 45 seconds. Assailable targets take 7% more internal damage. So this is our first real change with the spec. This perk used to come from our Assault Plastique, but it's a lot more reliable now, guys, so you should have your Incendiary Round up on all targets at all times. It's a massive DPS increase. Enough said. Cool. So next up is Assault Plastique. This is our delayed grenade. This is a big damage dealer for us. It allows us to set up our burst from just about anywhere. We have more options than we do in gunnery for when we want to go for kill pressure, so that's nice to have, and we'll go over that in our rotation, okay? Moving on, Ionic Accelerator. When Plasma Cell is active, Charge Bolts, Full Auto, and Hail of Bolts finish the cooldown on High Impact Bolt and Mag Bolt, and make your next High Impact Bolt or Mag Bolt cost no energy. This cannot occur more than once every 7.5 seconds. Awesome. This is the linchpin ability of this spec. Hyper Barrels reduces the cooldown of Plasma Grenade by 6.5% or 6.5 seconds and lowers the number of energy cells it depletes by 5%. Whatever. Useless. Relentless Assault increases the damage dealt by periodic effects by 30% on targets below 30% max health. So this is just allows us to really burn people down. Gunnery really doesn't have that. Gunnery is pretty much, we just keep hitting them with big stuff until they die. This spec has a little bit more surgical precision, like we can really wear someone down, and we're a pain in the ass for tanks, we're a pain in the ass for healers, it's constant pressure with us. Alright, Hyper Assault rounds. So dealing damage during periodic damage on a target below 30% health will give our next explosive round a massive damage increase. Increases the damage it deals by 75%. So we have a built-in execute pretty much. So that's nice. Serrated Bolt. fires special serrated bolts at the target that deal 15, deals damage over time, cause the target to bleed for an additional 5k over the next 15 seconds. So this is our secondary dot. Important to get that up on the target too, guys, because of this right here. We'll get to that. Assault Trooper increases the critical damage bonus for full auto charged bolts, assault plastique, and mag bolt by 30%. Additionally, serrated bolt marks its target for 45%. Marked targets take 5% more damage from ranged attacks. Okay, so right now, between the susceptible from incendiary round and the assailable from, the mark from your serrated bolts, we have a 12% increase to our overall damage for the most part. So important to have your dots up, guys. Rapid recharge reduces the cooldown of recharge cells and reserve power cell by 30 seconds. This is important. Unlike in gunnery, where you literally have infinite ammo and you never run out, you will need to manage your energy a little bit better in this spec. So I recommend, and we'll go over it in the rotation, but during your second cast of full auto, it's not so much an issue in PvP, realistically, because there are going to be obviously times when you're not attacking because someone's line of sighting you or someone moves out of range or whatnot. But in PvE, if you guys are playing this spec PvE, and I believe this is the superior PvE spec by miles, then you will need to be throwing in your reserve power cell on your second cast of your full auto, simply because it is your highest energy costing ability, and this will allow it to deplete no energy cells. So that's that. Okay, moving on to our first and big defensive, DGOS. Activating Diversion, so your threat drop, increases your defense chance by 35% for 6 seconds. Now, in the video I put up a few minutes ago, I talked about at the very end of it whether or not this is better than the DGOS or the Chafe Flare from Gunnery, which gives you 5 charges that absorbs the next 5 tech or force attacks. So to go over this, I think that if you're getting focused by an entire team like an arena, or if you're getting focused by more than 2 people, then DGOS is probably the way to go. I mean, you have that overall chance to either, I'm pretty sure it's dodge for us or whatever it is, or absorb by 35% versus simply 5 charges, which can be burnt up. It might get burnt up on a retractable blade or something like that. Like, those are all tech attacks, and that's not what we want. So I think it's a toss-up, and I think it comes down to how proactive you are and how keen your mind is just to know when you need to be popping your diversion. So that it's kind of a toss-up. Moving on, Flaming Wound. Your elemental attack deals 3% more damage to bleeding targets. Serrated Bolts, that's another, so we're at 15% increased damage now overall. Cool. Mag Bolt, this replaces your high impact bolt, just deals more damage. Cool. Blazing Celerity, this is the linchpin of the rotation. Damage dealt by Mag Bolt makes your next serrated or charged bolts or serrated bolts or medical probe activate instantly. This effect cannot occur more than once every 15 seconds. So this allows us to be incredibly mobile. Now, more often than not, you will find yourself having to sit there and channel a charged bolts or having to channel a serrated bolts. But that's why we're running Overclock, which gives us 2 charges of our instant cast for any channeled ability, and we'll get to that in the utilities in a second. And our final ability, our level 64, is going to be dealing periodic damage, grants boosted bolts, increasing the damage dealt by your next charged bolts or hail bolts by 1%. This stacks up to 10 times and lasts up to 15 seconds. So they finally made charged bolts really useful. So every single time, in your rotation, you'll get up to like 7 or 8% extra damage if you're playing correctly. And then obviously if someone's running away, you can probably build it up to that full 15% extra damage. So it really does add up over time, guys. So that's quite nice. All right, just quickly going over our utilities. This is what I like to run. I like to run this pretty much on all of my Commando specs except for In gunnery, I'll run reflexive shield because we don't really need this as much because the vortex bolt is up pretty often. But we're running concussive force. Stock strike immobilizes the target for 4 seconds, and concussion charge pushes the enemy 4 meters farther away. Charge barrier, so charge bolts in this spec will build charge barrier that reduces the damage taken by 1% for 15 seconds. So we got 5% damage reduction from that during the duration of combat. Sticky mods, charge bolt reduces the movement speed of the target by 40% for 6 seconds. Awesome. In the masterful tier, we're running advance the line, increase the duration of hold the line by 4 seconds. And combat shield, a reactive shield now further decreases ability pushback by 30%, which is key in this spec and key in both, and more key in gunnery. It makes you immune to interrupt. Enough said. There are no other talents that you guys should ever be taking in this tier. They're just not. They're not even remotely worth it. If you're playing a damage class, if you're playing heals, you might want to take supercharged defense, but in reality, or suit FOE, but we're not, so we're not even going to go over it. In the heroic tier, in this spec, I like to run overclock, and the reason why is because that 15 seconds from here where you cannot reset, or right here, the 7.5 seconds that you cannot reset your mag bolt, it's sometimes nice to, you know, if you're looking for that reset, you get your 2 charges of overclock, which gives you, I use it pretty much exclusively on charged bolts, just so that we can stay mobile. And I almost always use my proc from mag bolt on serrated bolts. This allows us to reset that mag bolt a lot more reliably. Now, obviously, when we don't have it up, you are going to be sitting around and having to channel a little bit, but such is the same in gunnery. You are always going to have to sit around and cast a few grav rounds here and there, so that's that. And then obviously we're running Force March. This is probably the best talent we have. You couldn't play any of the Commando specs without it. It allows us to channel our full auto bolt storm and successive treatment while moving. So that's pretty much that. In the heroic tier, other choices that I would potentially use in PvP, shock absorbers is always a great choice. Reduces area of effect damage by 30%, and then when you get stunned, reduces damage taken by 30% from all sources. So this is great whenever you're getting bursted. Most people will stun you out. This is all comes down to your positioning. If you feel like you're struggling in PvP, you're not always positioned well, you're dying a lot, go ahead and run that. It'll keep you alive. Like 100%, it will keep you alive. There's no other way to say it. It will keep you alive. Not indefinitely, but for a decent amount of time longer. If you are an experienced Commando player, experienced Merc player, and your positioning is good, on point all the time, which God, Lord knows mine is not. Mine is sometimes terrible. Sometimes I engage sometimes I push way too far forward in engagements and stuff like that. Then you can feel free to run either overclock or reflexive shield. So reflexive shield, whenever you take damage, the active cooldown of your reactive shield is reduced by 3 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds, which is the standard time for a global cooldown. So every time you get hit, pretty much, you'll be reducing that cooldown by 3 seconds, meaning that your reactive shield should be up pretty often. It's a nice little perk to have there. Sorry, guys. All right, so that really pretty much does it for our utilities and talents there. So we're gonna go over the gearing now. Now, as far as 4.0 gearing goes, it's too early. I know I've given you guys recommendations in the past, but nobody has a fucking clue right now. I've done infinite reading on the forums. I've done, the only thing that's up right now is a reliable projected DPS rating and gearing for PvE with 228. Or with a 228 item level. So as far as PvP goes, I have no idea. Currently, I think I'm running way too much crit. I don't know. Right now, we are min-maxed crit power on all of our gear. We're augmenting crit exclusively. We have not augmented yet our left side here, simply because it's not 208 gear, so we're not going to bother with that until we get there. But I'm feeling we'll augment some alacrity on this guy. I think if you were to get up to 6, 7, or 8% alacrity in assault spec, you would really enjoy a quality of life increase. I mean, that reduces your global cooldown, lets you get your dots out way faster. You can be channeling those charge bolts when you need to way quicker. So yeah, that's probably what I'll end up running. I'll probably end up running somewhere closer to 40% crit, 40% crit, 70% multiplier. We'll get a few augments, probably 3 augments with alacrity and 3 enhancements with alacrity as well, instead of crit. So that's what I'm suggesting for assault spec. Really, guys, it's up to you. It's up to your playstyle. Until we get way deeper into this expansion and people have definitive number crunching, then feel free to play around with the gearing and decide what's best for you guys. Alright, moving on to the rotation. So, assault spec is very much based on a priority system, but your opener is pretty much set in stone. Okay, guys? So your opener is going to be, or at least my opener, is Incendiary Round, Electronet, because it does a lot of damage over time, followed immediately by Mag Bolt. It will proc your Serrated Bolt. You'll get that onto the target. You're going to drop your Assault Plastique. You're then going to go into your full auto. It should reset your Mag Bolt. Hit him with another Mag Bolt. You're going to pop Tech Override, and you're going to go into your 2 charged bolts, which, depending on how much alacrity you have, may or may not reset your Mag Bolt. I don't know. Usually it doesn't for me because it's still within that 7.5 second window. So you're going to probably have to channel a 3rd charge bolt to reset it. But the opener should look like this. Let me get my supercharge up as well, because that's also very important. In Plasma Cell, guys, your supercharge will let me read it out for you. Increases periodic damage dealt by 10% for 8 seconds and causes the next successful ranged attack on a target affected by your incendiary rounds burn to apply a supercharged burn, which deals another 5k over 4 seconds. So that's a huge deal. Alright. Here we go. Here's how our rotation should look. Alright. So, Incendiary Round, Electronet, Mag Bolt, Serrated Bolt, Assault Plastique, full auto, sync that detonation there, Tech Override, your two charge bolts, 3rd charge bolt will reset. We didn't pop our supercharged there. Go ahead, and now we're into the priority system, okay, guys? So we're pretty much at a point where we're watching the target, we're trying to reapply our dots. Dots need to be up all the time. Go charge bolts into a Assault Plastique there, and whatever right now is going to reset our Mag Bolt is our priority. Okay. So that's pretty much it. That's the rotation. We'll go over it one more time once all the cooldowns reset. But one thing we'll talk about is Electronet being used liberally in this spec. You burn people down incredibly quick with 4 dots on them. I don't care whether they're a tank, a Jug tank, or a Vanguard tank, or a Sin tank, or whatever. People don't have the defensives to survive that. Now, if you're using Electronet situationally, like in, to stop a Sork bubble or in arenas, it's all situational. But for the most part, I see a lot of commandos forgetting that they even have it. So work that in. It also pretty much guarantees a kill with your opener. Just your opening rotation pretty much guarantees a kill. Because, they can't use any massive defensive cooldowns. Sork can't bubble unless he breakers. Can't shadow step away, can't phase walk away, all that good stuff. So it's a useful ability to get onto a target especially the first target you're trying to take down in any real situation. Let's say you're playing Alderaan Civil War and you've got a 6-man contest at mid. You know, both teams have 6 players. The first team to lose a team member, you know, say for instance you lose a healer or you lose a DPS, your chances of taking that node are drastically decreased just because you don't have as much damage or you don't have as much heals coming out. So the ability to remove one player off the map immediately is massively important. So work that electronet in, guys. Okay. We have all of our cooldowns back up, so we're going to get up our supercharged. I didn't pop supercharged last time because I'm bad. But yeah, we'll get into it right here. We're going to throw supercharged in right after we electronet. Okay, here we go. Incendiary round, electronet, supercharged, mag bolt, serrated bolt, full auto, mag bolt again, tech override, charge bolts, third charge bolts. This will reset our mag bolt, which did not reset our charge bolts there. Sometimes it's finicky as hell. So now we're into the priority system. We need to get our dots back up. We're just looking to do damage. Going to full auto. Anything right now that will reset our mag bolt is where we want to be. We're going to pop our reserve power cell there so that we can regen some. Get our dots back up. Get our Sol Plastique. Full auto. Supercharge. We have our tech override back up. So we'll tech override now because we got the reset there. We won't get a reset from this, but we will get a reset from our full auto. Yep. Alright, so our dots are wearing off now, so we're going to reapply. Have our Sol Plastique. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. The priority system is always going to be tough. If you guys want to track abilities here, instead of having to look down at your hotbars, I don't know how most of you have your hotbars set up, but I like this one right here. Sometimes I'll, if you guys are feeling like you need to be tracking when your high impact bolt or your mag round is procced or whatever, you guys can just work that in. Go into your interface editor, shrink one of your, I think this is quick bar number 6 or something for me. I don't have any key bindings on it, obviously, because they're all key bound down here, but you can just put them, vertical beside your character or horizontal beside your character, whatever works, whatever will let you track your abilities so you know when they're procced. Allows you to have better map awareness. So that's pretty much it for the guide. Your priority system is tough, obviously. People are going to be, your initial opener should kill a target, no problem, no questions asked, especially if you get that electronet out. So your priority system, more often than not, you'll just have your opener up all the time. I mean, not all the time, but when you need it, you'll probably have tech override. When you need it, you'll probably be able to get your mag bolts reset. The only time I've ever, there are only a few times, when you get into a really long drawn out 1v1 with, a tank class or, someone with good off healing like an operative or someone with good defensives like an operative again or a sork, and you're less mobile because you need to start sitting there channeling your charge bolts, can get a little rough, but, such is the trade-off between assault spec and gunnery. I think gunnery, your opener, gunnery, the grab round resets your bolt storm all the time, so you can constantly be moving. But that said, you don't have as much sustained damage, not even close. I mean, assault spec, with your 4 dots up, you're doing 20k in 5 seconds just in dots alone. That's half someone's health or a third of someone's health. Not even to mention your mag bolt, your full auto, your charge bolts, your assault plastique, and your built-in execute on your explosive round. All of that. So these are the toss-ups, guys. Anyways, as far as your defensives, I'm not going to go over your defensives. I've gone over them in the last Commando video. You guys should know from playing the class when to properly use them, when to use your stuns. All that stuff is pretty much common sense. It's all situational, so we're not going to go over what they all do. We all know what they all do. So this has been Space Guys, and I hope this guide has been beneficial to those of you who are curious about Assault Spec. Does a crazy damage, has the highest single target damage in the game, I'm fairly certain. Or it did last spec, or it did last patch. You know, Shadow of Revenant had the highest single target damage in the game. So I encourage you guys to go out and try it out. This has been Space Guys signing out.